Welcome to Journey Through Time, a channel that keeps important historical events for each day of the year.
Early morning of June 25, 1950, 135.000 North Korean soldiers suddenly crossed the 38th parallel, the border that divided the Korean peninsula, to attack the south. The 38th parallel, the cut that divided the country for more than 70 years. This is not only the demarcation line between the two countries, but also a symbol of a war that has never officially ended. Here, each side retreated 2 kilometers, creating a buffer zone, the demilitarized zone, DMZ 4 kilometers wide. On the surface, this is a quiet strip of land, with grasslands and watchtowers, but hidden underneath are more than 1 million mines. Our secret tunnels, our electronic fences, barbed wire, machine guns, always ready to fire. At the Panmunjom flashpoint, the only place where the armies of the two Koreas meet face to face. 3 North Korean soldiers stand guard in a triangle, 2 looking at each other, the third with his back turned as a wordless symbol of fear of defection. On the other side, 3 South Korean officers stand in a straight line, their eyes looking towards the north. They confront each other, not speaking, not looking away. But why was the Korean peninsula divided in two? Why did 2 countries that speak the same language, share the same culture, become sworn enemies? In August 1945, Japan surrendered to the Allies, ending 35 years of colonial rule over Korea. But instead of independence, the peninsula was temporarily divided. The north was controlled by the Soviet Red Army, the south by the US Army. The 38th parallel, initially a temporary line to disarm the Japanese, became a historic divide. In 1948, the South held general elections under the supervision of the United Nations. The North refused to participate. The result was 2 states born within weeks of each other: the Republic of Korea in Seoul, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea in Pyongyang. The United Nations recognized the southern government as legitimate, but both sides claimed to represent the entire peninsula. Tensions escalated. Minor skirmishes continued for 2 years until the war officially broke out. Early morning of June 25, 1950, about 135.000 North Korean soldiers, supported by 150 T-34 tanks and heavy artillery, suddenly crossed the 38th parallel. Just 3 days later, Seoul fell. The South Korean army, outnumbered in both men and equipment, fled in chaos. A stream of refugees stretched dozens of kilometers south. On June 27, while the Soviet Union was boycotting the Security Council, the United Nations passed Resolution 83, declaring North Korea's actions blatant aggression. 16 countries, including the United States, Britain, Canada, Australia and Turkey, sent troops to join the fight, forming the United Nations force under the command of General Douglas MacArthur. September 1950, MacArthur launched the Incheon landings, a daring campaign behind enemy lines that he later called the greatest gamble of my life. The campaign was a resounding success. Seoul was recaptured. The North Koreans were pushed back to the Chinese border. But less than a month later, on October 25, some 300.000 Chinese troops unexpectedly crossed the Yalu River, launching a fierce counterattack under the name of the Volunteer Army. Mao Zedong ordered, imperialism must not be allowed to set foot on China's doorstep. Seoul fell again and was recaptured in March 1951. The peninsula was plunged into a whirlwind of bloodshed. The sides fought for every hill, every town, every inch of land. From mid-1951 to 1953, the war stalemate around the 38th parallel. Neither side gained the upper hand. Korea became a sea of fire. Millions of bombs fell. More than 3 million people died, mostly civilians. General MacArthur once told the US Congress, "In war, there is no alternative to victory." But victory never came. The Korean War not only was a conflict between the two Koreas, but also the official start of the Cold War. The United States and China faced each other head-on for the first time. And the United Nations used force for the first time, under the blue flag of peace. July 27, 1953, the armistice was signed at Panmunjom, but a real peace treaty was never signed. Which means, legally, the two Koreas are still at war. The consequences were devastating. South Korea lost nearly 1 million civilians. Seoul changed hands 4 times in just 1 year. North Korea lost more than 600,000 people. Many villages were wiped out. Hundreds of thousands of people were scattered, crossing forests, wading through streams to China, or drifting to foreign lands. The war also led to the United States increasing its presence in East Asia, strengthening its base in Japan and establishing new military alliances such as the Southeast Asia Treaty Organization. The United Nations, from a diplomatic forum, was now caught up in the vortex of superpower competition. The 38th parallel, from a temporary dividing line on a map to the most heavily militarized border in the world. Barbed wire, anti-personnel mines, watchtowers, and sporadic gunfights continued for 70 years.